Good morning. You have probably heard of the Venus Project and the work of Jack Fresco, who just recently passed away, and of Roxanne Meadows, which, in so many words, is an action plan that employs science and technological expertise to build a sustainable and affluent society for all, in what they call a resource-based economy, instead of the money-based economy that we have right now. Why? What's the problem with our money economy? You don't need a degree in economics to know the answer to that. Through the years, we all have to deal and cope with the continuously decreasing value or purchasing power, if you want, of our money. Now, some of us might prefer to think that that's because government is corrupt and inefficient, and these politicians steal away our money. Like the yellow crowd likes to say, no corruption, no poverty. That's partly true, but that's really just a tiny part of the really big-time organized hoax that people take for granted as perfectly legal and acceptable. We are talking about the banking system. Henry Ford once said, "It is well enough that the people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary system. For if they did, there would be a revolution before morning." So how does the banking system manage to so very easily deceive everybody? Let's say you deposit 1,000 in a bank. It's natural to assume that they keep your money safe in a huge secure vault, so you may withdraw some of it or all of it anytime you want to. But what actually happens is the bank will bet that not more than 10, I would say 100 depositors in a given day will come back the following day to close their account or something to that effect. And if so, what would they do with all the idle money in their care? Then they'd lend 900 of your 1,000 and keep the 100 within the premises just in case. The borrower then spends the money and therefore passes it on to another guy who, just like you, goes to the bank and deposits, listen very carefully, to deposit your original 900, which is now technically his, but according to the bank's ledger, is also actually yours. 900 of his, plus 900 of yours, plus the 100 that they retain in the bank. And your 1,000 magically becomes 1,900. And just like that, new money is introduced and added into the system. And the whole fraudulent scheme goes on and on and on. Meanwhile, of course, as everybody knows, bankers charge borrowers 10, 20 times more interest than what they give their depositors. How are they supposed to make a profit and keep their owners happy if they did? Yes, it's so brazen and so fraudulent and so immoral, if you want. It boggles the mind. How come you and I, and most everyone we know, are okay with that? Now, what would the bank do if one fine morning half of the depositors decided to put their money elsewhere? How are the banks to produce the money that's no longer there? And there's the even infinitely grander design called sovereign money. Money created and issued by the central bank and charged to the account of the sovereign. And who in heaven's name, might you ask, is this sovereign clown? There, right at the very first sentence of your dear Constitution, that's the guy. We, the sovereign people. Yes, they're charging it all to us. The great dumb population, who sometimes call themselves citizens. And so, To keep the banks afloat, Big Brother Central Bank simply prints more money and lends these banks, big and small, as much as the system requires to keep them fundamentally sound, as these high and mighty economists and fund managers and brokers like to say and have us believe. And just like that, huge amounts of more money is infused into the market, as it were. And what happens when there's more and more money in circulation? If there were 10 of us, each with 100 pesos in our possession, in a room, a market, that's selling a gross national production of say, 10 sacks of rice, then we all go home with 1 sack of rice each. But what if somebody walked in with 1,000 pesos in his pocket? Then there's now 2,000 pesos circulating in the room. And just like that, the price of 1 sack of rice doubles. And all 10 of us will just have to make do with half a sack. When you blow air into a balloon, the balloon gets inflated and expands. Exactly like what happens when more money is added into the system. Now we know why they call it inflation. Because these new monies that are progressively inserted into the system are created out of precisely thin air. Zimbabwe in 2008 and 2009 is just one in a long list of extreme examples since governments resorted to fiat currency. But the system doesn't even need to go that far to drive people deeper into poverty. Closer to home, in 2014, 4 years into the no corruption, no poverty leadership of the incorruptible Noynoy Aquino and his morally upright cabinet, the poor have remained poor, if not even poorer. Why is that? Because inflation is not a religious or ideological malady. It is a structural defect. Well, there's 2 ways you can deal with inflation. Either you learn to live with less and less, which is exactly what government means when they say austerity measures, or you can just simply kill the new guy in the room, which is the true definition of revolution. But revolutions are won by a determined people, a brave, vigilant, and informed people, a people who defy tyrants, who don't watch too many movies, who are not impressed with the ruling elite, a people who are not easily bullied. Oh Lord, do we even stand a chance?